All right, guys. Well, here it is. The TeamSpeak Team Liquid Open number 11. It's semifinal number 1. We're tied 1 game apiece, and this is game 3 between Liquid TLO and FXOmOoNan.
Link engaged.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is game number 3. In game number 1, we saw TLO just completely wreck his opponent. Some great harassment on several different levels and different stages. And then we saw FXOmOoNan keep his cool and win in literally a handful of unit wars to determine who would go and win game number 2. And I think you made a pretty good point there about the potential stalemate, but I'd also be willing to bet you that TLO is probably not one of those players that would want to win that way. So here we are in game 3 on Scrap Station, and we have TLO spawning in the 12 o'clock position is the purple Terran, and his opponent in the 3 o'clock position, it is FXOmOoNan as the red Terran.
Now, one thing to mention, of course, if you guys haven't ever played on Scrap Station, which I'm sure most of you probably have, it's of course a very close by air map where it's just a one-on-one map. It's very, very close by air. But if you want to walk around and go by ground, it's a really, really long distance unless you break down the rocks that are in between the bases. So just something to think about that makes play like dropships, dropping Marines or dropping pre-igniter Hellions or just regular Hellions, Banshees, all sorts of little air harassment play is just obviously going to be a really viable and effective strategy, because if your opponent is out of position, you can really abuse that quite easily.
And TLO did go gas first, then barracks, and his opponent barracks first, then gas for FXOmOoNan. And Scrap Station has kind of also been really developing as a TVT matchup. We've seen this middle corridor become sort of like the gateway to victory for a lot of different players, sometimes in desperation and sometimes in just trying to advance forward on their opponent. But curious to see what we'll see out of these two. I think that we could certainly, based off of the last 2 games, Wolf, guarantee that we'll probably see something, unusual just because of how these 2 players like to play. We do see the factory going down immediately for TLO, and we have Marines starting to come out for mooNan.
Yeah, the SCV Scout's going to come in here by mooNan and see the gas, and if he's really on top of things, he could click on the refinery and try to see how long it's been mining, but I doubt he'll do that. He's actually not going to see the factory right away. He really wants to check for that. If he doesn't see it, he might expect some sort of early expansion, but no, he is going to see it with that SCV, and TLO going to chase him out right away with that first Marine. Does get taken out, cannot escape. And he's going to know also that the factory timing is a lot faster than his, and you might be wondering why is that. And he's got to be thinking, okay, he went gas first.
Yeah, I think he sort of figured it out in his head. Well, one thing that was interesting is that, because the Rax was up a little bit later, that Marine came out a little bit later, and he was so close to denying him vision of that. Here we have the first Hellion come out. So I think the one advantage that mooNan has is that he did see it. He knows that something may be coming, and so he may be able to prepare for it. He is going to throw down the tech lab on his factory, and the starport is going down. Meanwhile, because of that fast factory, the starport's already finished. We got a medevac coming, and I wonder if TLO is just going to go for some very, very quick drop here.
Yeah, I would expect so. It's kind of unusual, but then again, in this matchup, in the very early stages of the game, your opponent doesn't have that many units, so if you bring in the right unit composition to hit him really hard and really fast, with basically what TLO is going to have is 2 Hellions and 4 Marines, and that's all of those fit quite nicely in a little medevac. It's like a little package he's going to send his opponent. And with the medevac healing the Marines and him having a higher Marine count than his opponent, could actually be very difficult for mooNan to stop. He did get a reactor on the barracks. Probably not the best choice when you don't know exactly what your opponent is doing, because that does, stop a lot of Marine production. He does have a missile turret, but it's not up in time to deny this medevac that's flying in.
Yeah, and you know what? You could see just how important that timing was because he didn't even heal up that Hellion to full. They are now moving in, starting to scorch these SCVs. There are only 4 Marines here, and so it's going to be very important for these Hellions to dish some damage on those Marines. And look at these SCVs just losing a ton of mining time. In come the Hellions, 2 Marines roasted, and this could be bad. 1 Viking does pop out. The medevac does look like it is in danger, but we are seeing Moonin in a horrible position here. He's losing a ton of mining time. TLO has only lost a single Hellion and I believe a Marine. Nothing is coming out of these production buildings. We see the Viking land, and Wolf, could this be it?
I think this is it. Moonin doesn't even have enough money to make anything right now, and none of his SCVs are mining. So he's going to lose everything that he has, all these SCVs in the red, and it looks like we have about 3 SCVs and a mule, and TLO can win this game without even doing anything else. He's just going to finish off those last units, and really can just camp the production facilities if he wants to, and there's only 1 Marine coming out, and that is GG.
Wow, GG indeed. I cannot, I mean, you know, go back, everyone, and watch that. I was watching, you know, there was, right before the drop happened, Wolf, there was a little exchange between a Marine and a Hellion at the Zelnaga Tower. And we saw the Hellion return back to the base, which makes sense because it took a lot of damage and it was going to get repaired before it flew over. But you could tell that TLO was so, like, in tune with the timing of this attack that he had 2 SCVs on there. He was trying to get it all repaired up, and once everything was ready, he was like, dude, you're gonna have to go into this battle a little sore, a couple of band-aids on you, and still went in for it. You know, that was the first Hellion to go down, but so nice control, and it just Moonin was not ready for that at all.